Hello everybody, hope you're doing fantastically well. Quick shout out to Jack Dominic, who's already lost a tenner. Chin up, mate. We're back here with a preview. Leeds United are facing Arsenal this weekend. It's going to be a hectic one. It's going to be hopefully a positive one for the Whites, facing up against the Gunners, who are absolutely flying at this moment in time. It's going to be a difficult one for Leeds, can't deny it. To be quite honest with you, especially the news that we've heard over the last week, really, when it comes to Max Wöber, when it comes to Tyler Adams, of course, being out for the season, and Willy Gnonto. We've no idea what's going on there, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit frantic. It's going to be a little bit chaotic. Can Leeds go down there and get a victory? No, in my opinion. Can Leeds go down there and get a result? Weirdly, maybe it's the football gods that are working when it comes to my mentality, but I've no idea. I always think, and a lot of you guys will probably turn around and say, oh, Connor, you're so negative, this, that, and the other, you're so pessimistic, but it always gets to game day, and I do always think to myself, we can pull something off. I always think there's something in the Leeds United locker where, you know, we can get a win at uncertain points, and I do think maybe this Arsenal game, I'm thinking of Ian Hart, I'm thinking of Harry Kewell and Mark Viduka years and years and years ago. You know, the overall general sort of rationale of when you look at this Arsenal side, they're flying. It's probably the best Arsenal side I've seen since the old Arsene Wenger days, and they are really conducting this Premier League in a very professional fashion. Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka in the central midfield spaces. Obviously, Thomas Partey was part of the training bunch today. So I thought he'd be out for this one for certain reasons, which we won't delve into. It looks like Saliba's going to be out for Arsenal, which is a big positive for Leeds. I don't know who's going to fill in there, probably Rob Holding. But I think overall it's going to be an almighty task for Leeds United to go there and get something. Do I think it's out the realms of possibility for us to get something? Probably not. And I think Bournemouth laid the blueprint for that. Do I think the pressure will be getting to Arsenal? I think there's definite potential for that. Obviously, with Manchester City consistently hovering over the shoulder, for me, still, when you look at Man City, the best team in the country, just there and thereabouts. I think that's going to be a big pressure cooker for Arsenal, but they seem to be overcoming all of these scenarios at the minute. When it comes to Leeds United, as I said, several things going on at the minute. Max Wöber is going to be missing. There seems to be, understandably, a lot of focus at the minute on Tyler Adams and Willy Gnonto, but Max Wöber's one for me which changes the structural dynamic of Leeds United, and the reason behind that is because someone comes in to this Leeds United setup who I'm not really interested in what he's done for Leeds and how he's a captain and this, that and the other, and how much Leeds fans seem to have this love-in with Liam Cooper. Liam Cooper, in my opinion, And you know, I don't have an agenda against Coops. I appreciate everything he's done. He's captained the side. But do I think he's ever been good enough? Absolutely not. I don't think he's, signed from Chesterfield for 250 grand, obviously, in Leeds United's dark days. I think he's really developed and really evolved into a defender that he can, look back and when he's retired, he can be proud of. But do I think that he's Premier League standard, consistently Premier League standards? I don't. I worry about if Wöber is out for a long period of time, Liam Cooper's consistency when it comes to injuries, because the guy is out every 3 or 4 weeks when it comes to picking up injuries. That's been Coops' career at Leeds United. So do I think he'll be able to be a consistent partner for someone like Robin Koch, who needs a partner next to him, a proficient and an efficient and someone who has a lot of leadership capabilities, like we've seen with Max Wöber, being next to him, who can guide him through the game even at a younger age. I think that's something that Coops can bring from a leadership standpoint, but I think when it comes to his ability on the field, he's not going to be able to give Robin Koch and give Junior Firpo the same amount of quality as, let's say, a Max Wöber. Now, when we're looking at the structural differences between Max Wöber and Liam Cooper, they're massive. And it's taken a long time, from my perspective, for a lot of Leeds fans to look round and think, on that left-hand side, Liam Cooper isn't the be-all and end-all just because he's captain. Liam and Cooper, unfortunately, isn't of the standard, in my opinion, of a consistent Premier League defender. It's really upsetting to me that Pascal Struijk hasn't been able to make that grade this season, and I think a lot of that was him being put left-back, and I think that's taken a lot of rhythm out of his flow and his play. Unfortunately, now when we're looking at him to come in as centre-back, that's become a little bit of an issue because he's completely out of form. So it is going to be Liam Cooper, in my opinion. I think Grazi's going to choose him. Is that going to hinder Leeds? I think when you getting quick, mobile strikers in and around Liam Cooper, that's going to be a problem. I mean, we literally saw that in the Championship, with Neil Maupay and Billy Sharp. It doesn't need to be a Premier League striker when it comes to, a small, diminutive striker being able to cause Liam Cooper problems. Whereas I think, Max Wöber is of a very, very much higher level. So, yeah, I think that's going to be problematic. I think with Coops and Firpo as well, we've seen in the past there's been problems there. Even under Marcelo Bielsa, I know Firpo's come out recently and said that under Jesse Marsch, it was difficult because he wasn't able to play with a lot of width, and that is right. And Firpo's been brilliant for Leeds United, but I think once again, that is a lot of credit to Max Wöber. When Firpo goes forward, Wöber's able to really cover him in an efficient way and a way where his football IQ is beyond anything Liam Cooper can ever deliver. So I think that's going to be a massive miss. And essentially what Max Wöber as well is about 7-8 years younger than Liam Cooper. So it's going to be a difficult adaptation period for Leeds. In my opinion, I think there is going to be a little bit of an impact on Robin Koch. I think there's going to be a little bit of an impact on Junior Firpo as well, with Liam Cooper being there instead of Max Wöber. Now, when we look a little bit further forward, we also know that Tyler Adams is out. Now, you will hear on the ether and in a lot of Leeds fans' opinion that McKennie and Rocker were the partnership that played against Wolves. Leeds got one of the victories of the season against Wolverhampton Wanderers as well, scored 4 goals, which was excellent. Does that mean that going forward, this is the partnership that you want, McKennie and Adams? No. And the reason I say that is because there needs to be a bit of a balance for me, always, in that midfield. Tyler Adams, even though at the start of the season I said Mo Kamara, in my opinion, would have been a better signing, because I think he's a better all-round player, has been immense for Leeds United. He's been absolutely immense and is way up there as player of the season. The player of the season conversation. I think that's going to be missed by Leeds United. I think when people turn around and football's a game with a lot of short memories. And because we've beaten Wolves 4-2, because we've had McKennie and Rocker in the midfield for that game, not only do people miss out that Leeds lost the midfield battle that day, Rocker wasn't brilliant, McKennie wasn't brilliant, certainly, and Neves won that midfield battle that day, and I think a lot of Wolverhampton Wanderers' play diminished when he went off the field. I think a lot of Leeds fans seem to think that a Greenwood or a JB or an Archie Gray can come in as almost like a substitute for Matt Rocker or McKennie and play to that elite Premier League level that we need at this moment in time. And we'll be able to really dig in the trenches in this relegation battle and give Leeds United what they need. I think that is slightly naive. I think Tyler Adams brings you a lot of leadership. I think he brings you a lot of captain attributes, which you need at this moment in time. And I think him and Wöber are huge, huge misses for Leeds United. And if I'm being honest with you, we know with Tyler Adams it's long-term, but if with Wöber it is long-term, if it is, yes, I am a little bit more worried. And I think you are completely naive if you don't think that, because you are, in my opinion, getting 2 of the biggest leaders out of that starting 11 and putting them on the bench for the remainder of the games. That is a big impact. And I understand we've just beaten Wolves, but when you contextualise the whole pie, when you look at the whole pie, they are massive, massive impacts on Leeds United. Now, going forward, it's a little bit different. Willy Gnonto is a huge talent. And someone who attracts players, is able to give people like Rodrigo and Patrick Bamford more space. But he's a massive talent. But I think Willy Gnonto, when you look at Sinisterra, when you look at Somerville, when you look at Rodrigo, when you look at Bamford, when you look at Harrison at the minute, when you maybe throw in Aronson, but when you throw in Aronson, they're going to give you some real offensive output, you would hope. So when it comes to Willy Gnonto, I'm not as worried. But the structural deficiencies when it comes to Leeds defending, which has been a huge problem for the utmost of 4 years now, and we seem to have sorted a little bit under Grazia when it comes to Leeds being able to be competent in these areas, I think is a big worry for me. Wöber and Adams are huge. And I complained a little bit on the last video and on Twitter, the Voice of Reason social media site, about not replacing those profiles and not having those profile players to come in when Adams is injured or a Wöber is injured or whatever. Now, I think we do have that with Wöber. We've got Pascal Strout, we've got Liam Cooper when it comes to left-sided centre-backs. When it comes to Tyler Adams, we do not have any profile to replace him. Now, people were going at me on YouTube for that, and I think it's because it's almost tapping into their ego and upsetting them a little bit when it comes to that point, because they don't want to think about that, and they don't want to think about offending the board. You've got to offend the board at those points, because we have literally got Darko JB, Sam Greenwood, Archie Gray, Adam Forshaw, Stuart Dallas as replacements, and you know, 45% of those players aren't even fit to come in and replace that profile that is Tyler Adams, that ball winner, that interception king, that defensive, that almost fifth defender when it comes to that back line. We have no profile to replace that, not a single profile to replace that. Every other player, even including McKennie, obviously Rocker, are different profiles to Tyler Adams, which is an issue. You had to bring in a player who at least replicated elements of what Tyler Adams brings to Leeds United in from a defensive capacity. Darko JB isn't that. Sam Greenwood isn't that at all. And Archie Gray definitely isn't that. And they're all kids. They are all kids. And this is the problem when it comes to squad building. This is the problem in the deficiencies when you look at Victor Orta and his recruitment. However, do I think this is a game where Leeds can pick something up? Weirdly, I do. I don't know if it's the change in Javi Grazia at the minute. Do I think it's maybe frustrating Arsenal? I think so. I think you can frustrate Arsenal. Do I think it's going to work? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to get into some of your comments. I've been waffling on here for a while. So I'm going to get a few of your comments in, see if a few super chats come out. Was going to lose it anyhow. Jack, that is... Come on, mate. We're not positive. That's not positive. Thanks for your £10 donation, though, buddy. Appreciate it. You know, I'm the most positive Leeds fan here, aren't I? So, come on. Evening, Connor. Fingers crossed we can turn it over against Arsenal. Yeah, 100%. Smash a like. Yeah, everybody, can we get a like? There's only 300 people in this building at the minute. Partey is their most important player. They're a different team without him. I don't think he's out for this one. I saw him training today for Arsenal, so I don't really know where that's coming from. Lee Crisp, howdy Connor. Jay says it's going to be a tough game, but anyone can beat anyone on their day. Just stick to the game plan and tactical approach, and we get something from this match. Jay's bang on. And I think, you know, when we're harking back to the Bournemouth game, Bournemouth had a structure. Bournemouth haven't got world beaters. They're very quick. You said this when we were predicting the final positioning the other day. Bournemouth are a very, very quick side, have a lot of athletic and physical players, and that's why they're not out of it at this moment in time and have turned it around a little bit. And they're able to hurt teams on the counter attack, I should say. And Leeds are able to do that as well. We have a lot of offensive players. We're going to be hindered by the fact Willy Gnonto is not involved in this game, but we have a lot of offensive players who are able to hurt Arsenal 100%. We've got to be efficient. We've got to be absolutely clinical when it comes to it, which we have the ability to do when it comes to Harrison, you would hope, Somerville, Rodrigo, Bamford, Sinisterra. But has it been massively hindered by Willy Gnonto being out of this side? I think a lot of fans are going to understand this weekend how hindered it is going to be losing someone like Willy Gnonto. I said this on the debrief midweek. Willy Gnonto is off the bracket of Rafinha. Off the bracket of Rafinha. And, you know, when you looked at Rafinha's dependability and reliability and how he was in this side week in, week out, without fail, performing, and when you still get fans slating on what Rafinha did at Ellen Road and saying, it wasn't all this, it was Harrison who kept us up alongside Rafinha. Absolute waffle. And if you watch the game of football, you will understand that Rafinha last season kept us up. And the reason I mention that is because Willy Gnonto, in my opinion, will keep Leeds United in the Premier League. So it is essential when we look at him being back and him being available. You might not agree, which is absolutely fine. Football is subjective, but in my opinion, he is the X factor. And I think Somerville has still got lots to learn. Sinisterra's injury record at the minute is a very big problem. It was a big problem at Feyenoord, everybody. It was a big problem at Feyenoord, and I think that's why we got him on the cheap a little bit, to be honest with you. But you are looking at Rodrigo and Bamford to be performing now when Willy's out. The issue is they're central players. There needs to be supply. There needs to be quality supply consistently, which I think Willy is able to deliver. My question is, can Harrison and Somerville do this in his absence? You know? Loss, and listen, I think a lot of it is going to be loss. I think we understand that. And Wöber is a huge loss. I wouldn't use Cooper, as what will happen is he plays a game or two and be back injured again. Best to persist with Pascal. Michael, it's a really good point, because the thing with Cooper is naturally what do we always see? He's injured within 4 games, and then Koch has another defensive partner. And then, Pascal comes in. Is he going to be... I always wanted to see Pascal and Robin. I really did towards the back end of last season. I wanted to see that partnership, see it thrive, really see... Because I think that's when you saw Pascal initially coming through the ranks, doing very, very well, and he was always partnered next to Cooper. I was a bit like, oh, come on, partnering with Robin Koch, let's see a little bit of it. I think what I've learned with Robin Koch is it needs consistency. Obviously, it's to do with who is that consistent partner. I think we understand that. That's fair enough. But it's consistency as well. I think Robin, throughout his tenure at Leeds United, has always had a chop and change when it comes to defensive partners, and that's inhibited him, which I can completely understand. You said the same about Click. We could do with him now. No, we couldn't. Click is not the profile of Tyler Adams. I don't understand that. I think once again, sentiment there. Click has never been ever a defensive player. Ever. And I think anytime Click was asked to do things defensively, that's when a lot of Leeds fans would moan about him. But because he's now at DC United, doing really well in the MLS, which is, a sub-Scottish league, people are thinking that we should be bringing him back. Not for me, anyway. Adams is average. Okay. Well, okay. I'm saying he does the defensive jobs well. He does the defensive job well in central midfield, and that's what we brought him in for. There's a profile there. The issue is we don't have a profile to back him up, even coming through the youth. They're all attacking players in that midfield. As long as they come back from the next 2, hope Rodrigo is as sharp as he can be, says Gail. It's a free hit. Forest and Palace are massive games. I wouldn't disagree with that, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at what a couple of you saying. I meant Click over McKennie. Yeah, all right, El, fair point. But you have got to move on at some point. We can't always be living in the Cooper, Forshaw, Dallas, and Click world and Bamford world. We've got to move on at some point as Leeds United fans. At least we should have Forshaw and Dallas back soon. How good would we be with Rafa on the right? Of course we would. Yeah, what a player. Best player I've ever seen. The only reason Cooper gets in is because of other defence. None of the other defence's leadership or organisation, his talent level is low. Other defenders, apart from Wöber, don't have it, I'm afraid. Andy, I think you bang on. And I think I understand what you're saying when it comes to the cap. Obviously, he's the captain of the club, isn't he? And him coming in on the left is going to be a leadership move. And Grazia is going to have to learn very quickly here that when you scratch below the surface at Leeds United, when you take a Wöber, when you take an Adams, when you take a Willy Gnonto out, the sub-players are very average. Very average. And not the profile that you need, as I say. You take Adams out and you put McKennie in there. I'm not saying McKennie's average, by the way, but McKennie's a completely different player to Tyler Adams. So you've not recruited in a way where you can sub in a player who replicates Tyler Adams' attributes. You have to spend 40 million quid for that, by the way. It's just a defensive midfielder who's able to replicate certain aspects of Tyler Adams. You take Willy Gnonto out. I mean, who's coming in? Somerville? He's not just... I'm not saying you have to get people on the same level as Willy Gnonto. But at least we've replaced a little bit of a profile there of Willy by putting Somerville in, who is able to have half decent output, but he's nowhere near of the same level as Willy Gnonto. I let the board off for that because it's going to be difficult to bring in a player that is able to deliver what Willy Gnonto delivers. But when it comes to Max Wöber as well, you've got Pascal Strout there, who's out of form, and you've been playing him left back and all this sort of stuff. Liam Cooper has not been who's not played in this Leeds United starting 11 in a long time now. Is he going to be able to deliver what Max Wöber delivers? I don't think so. And this is the thing, isn't it? It's the knock on Firpo. I think Wöber's been very, very good for Firpo. Everton fan here, but for some reason I'm addicted to this channel. I appreciate that, mate. Don't know why, but thank you. Clinical and Bamford doesn't go together, I'd agree. Connor, what do you think of the January players loaned out? Good for the players, doesn't help Leeds, methinks. Yeah, I mean, Cody, I think I like Drame. All Leeds fans don't like Drame because of what Bielsa said about him. I mean, he didn't directly say anything about him, but he essentially said that, you know, he wasn't good enough at the minute. But I like Drame. I think he's better quality-wise than Ayling. But Ayling is a leader in this side, isn't he? I don't think Drame's ever been given a chance. Gelhardt, I'm struggling on Gelhardt. I don't think he'll ever make it at Leeds, so I'm not too bothered about that one. Is it confirmed Willy's out for Forest? We don't know, Paula. I would hark on caution when it comes to Willy and Forest, Palace, to be honest with you. They're big injuries for Leeds, and I think you got a little bit of an understanding from Grazia's conference today that he is feeling it a little bit. And if they were out for a week, I don't know, would he be saying these sorts of things? I don't know. Can we get this out of the ether as well? Dan James is a Ferrari without a driver. He is, you know, Dan James is nowhere near it. He's nowhere near it. And because Grazia's come in, a new manager's come in, suddenly be unbelievable under him. Dan James has struggled under about 4 managers now. And he's nowhere near it. He's never been anywhere near it. I saw an unpopular opinion on Twitter where he said it was going to be, you know, if Dan James came back, he'd be the best winger at Leeds. I mean, what are you smoking? What are you smoking? He's not on the same level as any of our wingers. You know, the guy has no football IQ. He's got no composure, no level of assurance in the final third. Can't shoot, can't cross, can't use his left foot. He's nowhere near it. He's never been anywhere near it. Pascal over Cooper, as I just feel he has more mobility. If this was Palace or Forest game where the ball is going to be pumped in the box, then Cooper over Pascal. Yeah, Cooper is decent in the air, to be honest with you. And that's not something that I disagree with, to be honest. But guys, we're going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this. Make sure you get your comments in the section below. I do always read every single comment in the section below, so I really appreciate all the support. If you want to get over to Patreon, we're going to be putting some bonus bits on there week in, week out as well. So I really appreciate your support. Make sure you're liking all the videos as well, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.